Dasakori betan more deho prema tan. Dasakori betan more deho prema tan. Without love of Godhead, my life is useless. Therefore I pray, you accept me as your servant and give me the salary of ecstatic love of God. So this is the salary we want, prema. Prema is what we want to get from Krishna. That is our goal. So we have talked about prema. Won't get into it that much because that's something you have to experience later on. I can read something to you actually. I have another thing from a Guru Kuli, a beautiful letter, that can give you some idea of prema. And she was in Mayapur with her father. Her father was leaving his body. But she was not following so much in devotional service. So I'll read what she says. When a soul passes from this material world to what we hope is the spiritual world. So she's not completely convinced about Krishna consciousness at this point in her life. What dominates our mind is the things we cannot explain. The answers are best left to Krishna, but still Krishna consciousness is there. As my father left this world, I pondered many things. Why he did not make choices I would agree with. Why this material world was so hard for him. Why only death could give him the freedom he so long searched for. Again and again I searched for the answer, only to come up with imperfect answers. I realized by nature this material world is imperfect. And within it, we are imperfect beings, making imperfect choices. But within the fallacy of our material bodies in this material world is the perfect lesson, that we must be peaceful and surrendering to a force outside of ourself, Krishna, who knows more than we can ever conceive of. My father was a good man, a man who did the best he could with the cards he was dealt with in this material world. He had one child, me, who he hoped would continue on the spiritual path he stumbled on as a confused soul in the 1970s. He was not perfect, but he felt every decision of his life with his very essence. He was sensitive beyond what he normally showed his peers, and he seemed a man of mellow and composed nature. Being a child of such an extraordinarily composed man was not simple, as the calm exterior he showed the world did not always reflect the turmoil of what he felt within. But the philosophy of Krishna consciousness always gave him answers and eventually great peace. I came to know my father in the 2.5 months I was in Mayapur in a way I've never known him before. I knew him in the desperation and beauty of death. I knew him in the purest form of God, because I came to understand that Krishna is love. Pure prema is not different from God. In my father's last months, he experienced pure love of God through the many brothers and sisters that constantly came to offer their love and service to my father. He experienced pure bhakti and was overwhelmed by it. When death looms at your door, there is no space for excuses, only space for truth. Krishna is love, and my father knew that love through all of you. As a result, I came to know that love through all of you. Unconditional love was present as devotees showered their love on my father. They showered their love on my father as part and parcel of Krishna. This is the most profound lesson. We do live in the material world. Krishna may not be present consistently in a way we can always comprehend him, but he is alive in every living being. And the more we shower love on every living thing, the more we experience Krishna. Death is one way to experience Krishna. I remember all the ways I knew Krishna as the devotees came to love my father when they knew he needed it. Extreme circumstances bring out the best and worst in people. From Mayapur, I saw only the love. I, from the bottom of my heart, thank the devotees and ask of them in every circumstance and in every soul to see Krishna. For Krishna is pure love, pure prema. By living this love of Krishna as he exists, Paramatma, in every soul, you live in constant love of Krishna. This is the light of Krishna in Kali Yuga. This is the comfort you gave me that allows me to move forward in this material world with love, joy, and peace in my heart. We are imperfect beings. We make imperfect decisions and do imperfect things. But my father, for all his imperfections, was a kind man, a loving man, a man with an incredible sense of humor and a razor-sharp intellect. A man who held in his mind the highest ideal for his godbrothers and sisters. We can only hope to not talk about and reminisce, but actually live the hopes of my Father in our steadfast love for Krishna as he exists in all living entities. Your loving kindness and service humbles me. Thank you. Well, this was written by Gurukuli. Very profound, these Gurukulis, actually. They understand very deeply. And she saw prema. She saw what is love, that how the godbrothers and godsisters loved each other, especially her father. I also had that when I was in Vrindavan. We see many devotees leave their bodies. And there was this one devotee, I can't even remember her name. Well, her mother and father came, and they were so touched how the devotees came and sang for her and read to her and everything, that they started even chanting. I was coming and singing Hare Krishna, and they were chanting along with me, and they were just so grateful and appreciative of how the devotees were taking care of their peers, time of death. And so, yeah, here's somebody who was not really following Krishna consciousness, but from that, she saw this in the devotees. She saw this love, this prema. How it's not just simply loving Krishna, it's loving all living entities. And your god brothers, your god sisters, you see Krishna everywhere, not just in the temple. So that's important. So I'll stop here. If there's any questions or comments, we can answer at this point. Yes? Oh, thank you for coming. Without the audience, there's no class, except for out there in Cyberland. We don't see them, so it's not easy to relate to the impersonal cyber space out there. Here it's easier. Anybody else have any questions or comments? No questions today? Yeah. Yes. Love Ruchi. Yeah, it may happen. Yeah, what happens when you completely forget your body? Well, actually, so what is your question? What? Well, I can just give you the example of some devotees I know. I think Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he was they would say he was in coma, but for 4 months he didn't eat or sleep or pass. So Krishna takes care. He's one example, that he forgot his body. It was above Ruchi, it looks like. He's one example that I know of. But Prabhupada, he didn't do that to us. He didn't go away for 4 months like that, but he was always with us. He had it under control. But Prabhupada forgot his body because so many times I read that he, from morning 8 o'clock until 10, 11, 12 at night, he was preaching, and he would forget to eat. Sometimes he would just have a little snack here and there. And he would come home and he'd be so enlivened he wouldn't be hungry. He wouldn't even be hungry. Normally he would have his regular meals. He was very regulated. And that's a symptom of mode of goodness too, is that you're very regulated. And that's why I do yoga with Krodashamani, because prevention is better than cure and a lot cheaper. The doctors are so expensive. Don't have money for that. But we, in the mode of goodness, which most of us should aspire for, we try to balance our lives, and we take care of our bodies very nice, especially after you get over 40, because it just starts deteriorating. And especially if you're over 50, 60, if you don't move, your body, you start getting aches and pains everywhere. You have to keep moving, you have to do yoga, you have to walk, you have to do something to keep your soul in the body and workable. And so, according to your level, when you get to that level where you forget, then that means Krishna will take care, just like Prahlad Maharaj. He forgot his body. He was just like a child in the lap of the mother. The infant is completely cared for by the mother. So it was described, Prahlad, he completely forgot his body, but the Lord took care of him. So if you get to that level, Krishna will take care of you. But that's a very high level. So we can aspire for that, but at the level, we have to act on the level which we are on. And it's recommended that we live in the mode of goodness, which means balance, regulation, eat at the same time, get up early, sleep early, eat food and eat prasadam in the mode of goodness, eat prasadam. There's devotional service in the modes, chanting, hearing, everything that's described in 7th canto and 3rd canto, Kapila Dev. There's devotional service in the modes. So we should try to practice devotional service in goodness. That's very, very important. You can look it up in chapter 29 of Canto 3, the beginning verses, and also the very famous verse by Prahlad Maharaj, Shavanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam. Prabhupada gets into the different modes of chanting and hearing. So that's really important for us at this level that we're at. Don't worry about when you forget your body. And when you forget your body, then you don't have to worry because you forgot it. And where's the problem? It's when you remember it, that's when you have that's when you worry. That's when Krishna will take care. But we don't imitate a level beyond our advancement. Then you get in trouble. You try to forget your body now, then you're going to really be in trouble. Don't imitate a higher level. You see what level you're on. Be introspective. See what next step you can take. What risk you can take for Krishna. I mean, that's huge to forget your body. You can't just do that in one night. But that's something. First, forget your mind, I would say. That's more difficult than forgetting your body. Just try forgetting your mind for a few minutes. Or a day, even one day. Try one day to forget your crazy mind. Maybe your mind is not crazy, but I'm speaking for myself. Yeah, that would be an interesting experiment. Yes? One devotee? Yeah, Gopi Pranadana. Gopi Pranadana. You know? Was he here? Yeah, Gopi Pranadana. I was so amazed with him. He had extreme humility and extreme desire, insatiable desire to hear Bhagavatam. He had these symptoms of Nistha, Ruchi. He had it. We cannot imitate, well, we can, but we just follow our instructions of Srila Prabhupada. Any other questions? Yes. Does one really need to be concerned with their karma? Right. We don't need to be concerned with our karma. We don't. As devotees, we have a choice to reject our karma or accept it. Actually. Well, I'll give you an example so you can understand what I'm talking about. In India, there's some men who would tell the ladies, we were together in our past lives according to our charts. It's a line, actually. So they can marry a Western. I've heard it many times. And I tell them, don't be so sure. You know, so you can reject that karma. You don't have to accept that karma. And we're meant to be together for this life. Don't accept it. If karma comes to you, don't have to accept. We have the choice in this life to accept or reject our karma. Reject means you just make you have to make a decision. And it happened to me, so I can speak about it, midlife crisis. So there was, chance there. And so what I said, okay, this is how I made my decision. What does Prabhupada want me to do? What would please Prabhupada the most? And then I made my decision. This is what I'll do. And I didn't accept my karma. That should have been. And that's good, yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's available now. It's available now. Then we had a big, huge push, but now it's available for everyone. For the sincere seeker, it's all in the chanting. It's still there. The holy name is the same. And according to how we absorb ourselves in our japa, we can still get the same ruchi. Kirtan, japa, the morning program is still there. It's the same things. And we have the choice how much we want to absorb ourselves in Krishna consciousness. It's the same thing is there, but it's hard because it seems like there's not such a group effort as there was when Prabhupada, like we were pushed by the group. Now it's more individual, I would say. That you have to go on your individual search and try to find support wherever you can in your progress in spiritual life. But there's nothing is missing. The same thing is there. But what I have learned from my experience is that you have to be the example of what you want to see. What you want to experience and what you want to see, you have to be the example of that. Somebody will see your life and they'll say, yes, that's what I want to do. So that's what you have to do. I used to be critical. I used to also have that problem. Oh yeah, it's gone. And then I realized, no, that's not the way to change anything. You change yourself and you be the example. And then then you get the taste. You get the ruchi. You get the same feeling as what we had. It's open to everyone. You don't have to be a Prabhupada disciple. The spiritual life, there's no impediment. It's open for everyone. And the same relationship is there for everyone with Krishna, with Srila Prabhupada. But you have to eagerly desire it, eagerness, sincerity. Prabhupada he wrote me a letter. He gave me my initiation letter, 6 instructions, and then he wrote me another letter, how to follow those instructions. 3 qualities, he told me. Sincerity, enthusiasm, and cooperation. Hardest one. Because you're with devotees, you're with a lot of devotees, so cooperation. Yeah. Yeah, just go for it. It's still there, but it's maybe a little more difficult now, I don't know. But you can still have it if you really want it. According to your desire, if you really, really want anything, you can get it. And if you want spiritual life, nothing can stop you. If you want to do some service for Krishna, nobody can stop you. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, we follow instructions. In one sense, yeah, it's correct what you're saying. At the same time, we should not be mechanical. We have to do it not only physically, we have to do it mentally. Our mind has to go along with it. We can't just go through the motions, Mangalarti in this. We have to be enthusiastic. Enthusiastic. Yeah. Yeah, it will come. If you're very sincere, then the enthusiasm will come after 40 years of Mangalarti. My body just wakes up, at 3:30. Doesn't matter what time I go to sleep. So it's a little problem when you travel. It just wakes up, Mangalarti. After 40 years of training. So yeah, I said, okay. Time for Mangalarti. But it happens. It does. Even your own body wants to go. It won't let you sleep anymore. Yes.
I just want to share my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, for each person will be individual.
Right.
For me personally, when I listen to books, and I don't go all day. I just go whenever I can.
Mm-hmm.
When I listen to books, I'm very very happy.
Good.
As soon as I stop, I feel a choking feeling. So sometimes when I don't listen to it for a week, for any reasons, mine or work,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, I feel miserable and I feel sad and I feel all these bad emotions.
Mm.
As soon as I listen to a few books, right away.
Okay, so we have to send you out. Anybody sees her miserable, send her out. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's personally just for me, but
Everybody has their attachment.
go and listen to books, they would be ecstatic all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody has their own attachment. Some are attached to dressing the deities and serving them, cooking. Yeah, everybody has their individuality. That's the wonderful thing about Krishna consciousness. We can all do what we like to do best for Krishna. And you know that Krishna has, there's a purport in the 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 7, where Sanatana Goswami is quoted, that he says that for each and every living entity, Krishna has a special quality that attracts us to him. Each and every one of us has a different quality that we are attracted to, and Krishna has a special quality just for us. So for you it may be, when you get that taste in book distribution. Somebody, it may be seeing the deities, the smile of Rukmini Dwarkadish. For some it may be reading Prabhupada's books. It's different, it's individual. And we also understand each and every one of us has an individual service to perform. That is our mission here. And when we do that service, we're happy. We each have a service to perform for Krishna. And so we need to find out what is that service that I must do. Any other questions? Jai, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.